What if the person trying to save your soul vanished because they failed to save their own? Eleanor Gray wasn't just a healer. She was the last line of defense between a cursed town and something far more ancient than anyone imagined. And the night she disappeared, the real nightmare began. What if I told you that in a quiet, ordinary town, a secret was buried so dark, it still haunts the streets to this day? This is the story of Eleanor Gray, a healer, a whisperer, and a woman whose last act wasn't just a ritual, but a desperate fight against something far more terrifying than anyone could imagine. On the night Eleanor vanished, strange things began to happen. Whispers in the wind, shadows where there should be light, and a diary hidden beneath floorboards, filled with warnings nobody wanted to hear. Tonight, we unravel the chilling mystery of the last rite of Eleanor Gray, a story of secrets, curses, and a final rite that might never truly end. Are you ready to step into the darkness? Eleanor Gray wasn't your average small-town resident. To most, she was the kind woman who helped neighbors with their aches and pains, a healer who knew herbs, old remedies, and some said a little more. But Eleanor was also a mystery. She lived alone on the edge of town in a small, weathered cottage surrounded by wildflowers and ancient trees. People said she had a strange connection to the world beyond, that she could sense things others couldn't. Many came to Eleanor not just for medicine, but for comfort, advice, and sometimes for help with things that couldn't be explained. Locals whispered about her quiet nights spent walking the woods, murmuring prayers or chants they didn't understand. Some believed she was protecting the town from forces no one else could see. Yet Eleanor kept her past hidden. Few knew where she came from, and even fewer knew the weight she carried. In the weeks before she disappeared, those who knew her noticed a change. She grew restless, almost haunted. She spent hours drawing strange symbols, writing in a diary no one was allowed to read. Whatever Eleanor was preparing for, it was something big, something that would change everything. The night Eleanor Gray vanished started like any other, quiet, calm, with the moon hanging low in the sky. But as the hours passed, something changed. Neighbors who lived nearby heard soft chanting coming from Eleanor's cottage, whispers laced with urgency and fear. No one could make out the words, but the tone sent chills down their spines. Outside her window, symbols were drawn in salt and ash, strange shapes, circles intertwined with lines that looked like they belonged to an ancient language. Some say the symbols were meant to protect. Others believe they were a warning. As midnight approached, the chanting grew louder, more desperate. Then, suddenly, everything stopped. Neighbors who peeked from behind curtains saw no light, no movement, just an eerie silence that felt heavier than the night before. When morning came, Eleanor's cottage was empty. No sign of struggle, no trace of where she had gone. Only the strange symbols remained, slowly fading with the rising sun. That night was the beginning of a mystery that would grip the town and leave more questions than answers. After Eleanor Gray vanished, the town never felt the same again. At first, people whispered about her disappearance with fear and confusion. But soon, strange things began to happen. Things that couldn't be ignored. Shadows moved where there should be none. Cold spots lingered in empty rooms. Objects would shift, vanish, or appear in places no one expected. Some townsfolk reported hearing Eleanor's voice carried by the wind, soft chants, warnings, or sometimes desperate cries for help. A few even claimed to have seen her, a pale figure drifting just beyond the edge of the forest, eyes glowing faintly in the dark. Fear grew like wildfire. Neighbors stopped leaving their homes at night. Old stories about curses and spirits returned to conversations once dismissed as superstition. The town was caught in a grip of unease, as if Eleanor's last rite had unleashed something, or perhaps left something unfinished. No one knew if Eleanor's spirit was trying to protect them or warn them of a danger still lurking in the shadows. Weeks passed. The town stayed quiet on the outside, but inside every home, every heart, was fear. Fear that Eleanor Gray wasn't just gone, but watching. Then, something changed. During a quiet afternoon, a local handyman named Tom was sent to board up Eleanor's cottage. It had been abandoned for too long, and the town wanted to move on. But as he stepped inside, he noticed something strange. A floorboard in the corner of the bedroom, loose, but sealed with wax. Curiosity got the best of him. He pried it open, and what he found changed everything. A leather-bound book, old, worn, and cold to the touch. It was Eleanor's diary. The first pages were harmless: herbs, healing rituals, names of people she had helped. But deeper in the book, the tone changed. She wrote about something she called the shift. She believed a dark presence had been quietly growing in the town, something ancient, something waiting. There were warnings. The air hums before it speaks. It waits in silence, feeding on fear. They think I'm the last, but I'm only the gate. The most chilling entry was dated just one day before she vanished. Tonight, I try the rite. It must be sealed. If I fail, it will look for another. And finally, scrawled on the last page in shaky handwriting, the rite is never truly over until the last secret is told. That sentence would echo in the minds of everyone who read it, because no one knew what the last secret was. Or worse, who it might involve. What was Eleanor Gray really trying to stop? The diary gave us glimpses, but the truth might be older and darker than anything we imagined. Some believe the town was never just normal, that something ancient had always lingered beneath the surface, buried under foundations, whispered through bloodlines, passed down in shadows. Eleanor wasn't performing a ritual to summon something. She was trying to lock it away. The symbols, the chanting, the salt and ash. They weren't spells of power. They were seals, warnings, last lines of defense between us and whatever was reaching through. But the most terrifying theory? She wasn't the first. Hidden records, buried in dusty church archives, told of a woman in 1874, Catherine Hale, who vanished under nearly identical circumstances. Same forest, same night, same symbols, and then again in 1911, and again in 1959. Every few decades, someone disappears. A woman known by many, trusted by all, who vanishes after signs no one wants to admit they saw. What if Eleanor was just the most recent in a long line of guardians, chosen or cursed to hold back whatever it is that waits beyond the veil? And what if, this time, she failed? Some now say the curse is spreading, that the nightmares townsfolk are having are not just dreams, but warnings, that the cold spots, the whispers, the flickering lights, they're not echoes of Eleanor. They're signs that something else got through. And if the diary was right, it will look for another. Then maybe the last rite hasn't ended at all. Maybe it's just looking for the next one to begin. Eleanor Gray, healer, protector, and maybe the last line between us and something we still don't understand. She tried to finish the rite. She tried to seal the door. And she left behind a trail of warnings, a diary filled with whispers that feel more like prophecies. But the most chilling thought of all? What if the final secret Eleanor spoke of hasn't been uncovered yet? What if the ritual never ended because we're part of it now? Think about the signs, the disappearances, the symbols in generations past, the shadows creeping closer. What if this story is still unfolding, right now, as you listen? Maybe the town was just the beginning. Maybe Eleanor's last rite didn't fail. Maybe it's waiting to be completed by someone who's watching this very video. And maybe, just maybe, you were meant to hear this story for a reason. So now, I leave you with a question. If the rite calls again, would you know it? Would you answer it? Or would it already be too late? Let us know what you believe in the comments below. Was Eleanor a victim, a guardian, or something else entirely? Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell for more. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. See you in the next one. Bye for now.